African community, we come giving honor to all who have come before us, the ancestors, and all of you here today. And in the ancient tradition, there's a tradition of call and response. So if I say, good evening, your response is? Good evening. If I say, Ashe, your response is? Ashe. Or I go. At this time, I have the honor and privilege of representing the office of the Manhattan Borough President as the director of the Northern Manhattan office. My name is Athena Moore. It's an honor to be here in this space of City College, and I have the honor of just introducing very briefly the Provost of the City College of New York, Mauricio. Please put your hands together to welcome Mauricio Chavesian. And I know that the Borough President will have her own acknowledgments and thanks, but we could not have done this without the staff of City College, and so we thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of President Koiko and myself, I'd like to extend a welcome to all of you, all that came so numerous, and the speaker to talk about a topic that is really at the height of attention of the population these days. City College it's very happy to have you here. We are your partner as an academic institution. We like to participate with you and to provide opportunity for forums like this. We, as an institution, as part of the Sophie Davis School, we do contribute to the healthcare of this community. We provide a lot of physicians and physician assistants who are serving this community, and we have trained a lot of individuals who have gone into healthcare career. Last week, we just celebrated the 100-year anniversary of the birth of Jonas Salk, who many of you know was the discoverer of the polio vaccine. So City College has a long tradition to contributing to the healthcare of this community, the city, and the world in general. I am particularly thrilled because I'm a physician by training and a public health person, so this is a topic that's very dear to me. So I look forward to see the interaction between the audience and the spectators. So I wish you great evening, exciting, interesting, and full of knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we have another very, very brief performance. Who you heard initially was the New York African Chorus Ensemble, and you will also hear from the Blackberry Productions Theater Company. We welcome them to the stage at this time.
They say it's Ebola, but realistically, we don't know what it is. Okay? What we do know is a whole lot of people about to die. Is it population control? Is it the Bible coming true? Is it both? I mean, we don't know until it's all over.
Hell, let's be real. We truly don't know if it's real or not. How do we know it's not just a mental game to instill fear and caution?
I have a lot of erratic thoughts about this, but the only thing that feels
for certain is that it's our world government at work.
Ethnic cleansing, systemic, Tuskegee experiment.
How curable?
My fear is real. This could be eugenics.
What do you think? Ebola is not real. And the only people who have gotten sick are the ones who's gotten shot.
People in the Western world need to know what's happening.
I think that somewhere out there is a person with the name Ebola, and they're feeling quite stressful.
Right. Why does it sound like Ebonics?
Because it shouldn't be taken seriously. It's a mind fuck.
We as a society need to stop flocking to any and all information that the media affords us.
Yes.
Most of it is not factual.
Okay.
Manufactured annihilation and chemical testing done at a quiet time on a few isolated people. An injected virus to level overpopulation in Africa by exploding from within.
Yes.
But now, it's an experiment gone wrong. The antidote exists in the medicine given to 2 missionaries in Atlanta.
Panic! I have some thoughts of hype and propaganda along with suspicion about its origin, something like HIV.
Sadness that the world has another excuse to dismiss Africa.
Questions. Lots of them. Spiritual pain, compassion, powerlessness, love,
Yes.
love for lost souls.
Too little, too late. Racism, extermination.
Hearing a New Jersey nurse unquarantined herself in Princeton. Now, I'm nervous about the known versus the unknown.
Okay.
Now, how they gonna just ruin any potential tourist traffic by naming a virus after a river? Messed up.
Is this news only because of a fear of white people getting it?
Yeah.
Or unnecessary mass hysteria due to fear-mongering?
It's genocide. America holds the patent to Ebola.
We should fear ignorance. I hear the words man-made, genocide, racism. Truth is, any virus or disease that of this magnitude deserves attention and respect. Now, whatever its cause or intent, its effects are real, and that's what we need to focus our attention on. Blame and propaganda isn't going to halt the spread and destruction. Those African countries whose political or religious leaders who insist on undermining its pervasiveness are doing a great disservice to the public.
Yes.
Priorities, people.
Yes. Is healthcare inequality in Africa imperialism 2.0? And will social financial inequality in America turn into this?
Come on! Who's coughing? Who just sneezed? Don't breathe on me. Get off the train, homeless guy. You probably have it. Don't breathe on me. Will I get it? What is it again? Conspiracy to die? Cover your goddamn mouth. Don't breathe on me.
Don't breathe on me. Excuse me for my oppression.
Why is it that the response to our family in West Africa is so slow? Every time something happens to even one of us here in America, we freak out.
Yep.
What do you think needs to happen?
What happened to Eric Duncan and why? We present to you a timeline with questions.
Scene 1, Liberia, Monrovia. A pregnant woman, Miss Williams, is in need of hospital care.
I don't know if it's her time for the baby to come, but she needs help, Mr. Duncan. Will you please take her to the hospital?
We don't have space. The clinic is too full.
I've lived here all my life, and now no one wants to touch me. They don't even want to see me.
So, I'll take you home. We'll try again. You're bleeding. She died the next morning. Although no one in his immediate neighborhood knew that it was possibly Ebola. Mr. Duncan had plans and happiness on his mind. His trip to America had been approved. He was coming to America to plan a wedding and reunite with his son. At the Liberian airport, he was screened with questions.
Your temperature is 97.3 degrees. You answered no on the survey that you've never been exposed to Ebola. Is that true?
Yes. Dallas, Texas, September 25th, 2014.
Not feeling well, Mr. Duncan goes to the Texas Health Presbyterian Medical Center emergency room.
Triage.
Fevers lately, headaches, fatigue. Have you been around anyone who has been sick? Where are you traveling from? Vomiting, nausea. Your temperature is pretty high. It's over 100 degrees, but we're pretty sure that it's a low-grade viral disease. We're going to send you home now with some antibiotics. Good luck, sir.
Freeze! Is this a question of inequality in healthcare? Could a different proactive approach have been taken here? Crises averted by the right questions asked on both sides. Healthcare, health scare. Neither the nurse nor Mr. Duncan knew what they needed to know to be aware of. What did we miss here?
A protocol?
A checklist?
His temperature that day was actually 103 degrees. He described himself in great pain, and antibiotics are not very effective against viral diseases anyway. Back to our story.
3 days later.
Mr. Duncan returns to the hospital, this time in an ambulance. He is left in the waiting room 3 hours before he is isolated and diagnosed with Ebola.
We were to be married. Our son was to be reunited with his father. He said this to me after they put him in the hospital.
I'm so full of much regret. If I knew I was carrying this, I would have preferred to stay in Liberia and die rather than exposing you to this. I can't believe this is happening to us.
I have been quarantined and isolated too. We will be arrested if we leave the private house that we've been moved to. No apartments will take us. Our family is being treated like a disease in our own community. They say that we bring shame to people from our country.
On October 8th, 2014, at 7:51 a.m., days after his diagnosis, Thomas Duncan died. He became famous in a uniquely American way. The first person to die from Ebola in this country. Outside of the United States of America, 9,910 confirmed cases, 4,877 confirmed deaths in Africa. These numbers are changing by the day, hour, seconds.
Add in the nurses who were exposed and have since been cleared or cured, thank God.
Let's add in the doctor who we just learned about in New York. He went bowling to the Highline Park and did other things before he was quarantined, isolated. His apartment is closed off by folks in hazmat suits.
But what are the questions that we should be asking? Are we being told to question or who instead of what?
And still too many what ifs.
And still too many stigmas.
Feelings versus facts.
What is it that we really need to know?
What is it that we really need to do?
Ebola?
What?
Good evening, family.
Good evening.
My name is John Martin Green, and I am co-artistic director of Blackberry Productions Theater Company, which just brought you this meditation on Ebola. And we would again like to thank you on behalf of Blackberry Productions, West Harlem Development Corporation, and Manhattan Borough President Brewer's office. Thank you all for coming out tonight, and invite you to join us in a moment of silence to invoke spiritual guidance for all of those who are departed, healing for all of those who are battling with Ebola, and wisdom for all those who are trying to stop it in all forms all over the world. Thank you. And now, our singers will favor you with one more selection.
Cry for the land, the song says. Cry for the land. Where is my brother? Where is my sister? Find my brother, find my sister. Something has happened to this world. Cry for the land. So we think that we are honoring everyone's time.
We've been so far pretty good. We're maybe 5 minutes off track, and I hope that you will allow it. We would like at this time just to prepare to bring...
Give a big mercy. I think you don't speak and disappear. You're giving all those proverbs. Come and accept one of those yourself. They say there's a proverb that says, give thanks and a big applause to the person who did the work. It's been a joy to work with, and I want to also thank, in my own office, Marlene Names over there, still working, taking pictures. And the two of them have really worked hard to bring us here. Back in September, Dr. Ashwell Ndie, the provost, one of the deputy provosts of research at City College, and Dr. Eluemono Blyden, who is going to be on the panel. We met in my office and we started to talk about Ebola and what can we do about it. So we've been kicking it around, and then I got an invitation in early October to attend the Manhattan Borough President Gabe Brewer's task force of African immigrants. So I brought the issue of Ebola up and having a community forum. And to our delight, speaking on behalf of all of us, Gail, can I call you Gail? Please do. Okay. Gail just picked up on it, and the result is all of us being here. So we thank you a whole lot. Okay. And I'm not supposed to be a speaker, so I'll be very, very brief. Just to put things in context, you know, Ebola, as we all, those of us who have been following know, is striking 3 countries in West Africa the hardest, i.e. Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. But here's the fact. The 3 countries together have a population of 22 million, slightly more than New York State, all of those 3 countries together. And as of now, WHO reports that the incidence of Ebola is 13,000 in all the 3 countries together. If you do the math, it's 0.0006, which is 0.06%. What does that tell us? It tells us that in a country like the United States with about 320 million people, with 5 cases and 1 death so far, there's nothing to be afraid of. That is a fact. Therefore, today's forum is aimed to give us education, education, and education, so we can relax, go about our business, and not criminalize and stigmatize anybody. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nkechi Ogodo, and I'm the founder of Ketch's Project, a non-profit organization that empowers and educates girls. We have a program, we're Harlem-based, and we have a program in Nigeria where we sponsor selected girls to get an education. I am a member of the African Immigrant Task Force, and the African Immigrant Task Force was founded last August by our borough president in recognizing the many contributions of African immigrants towards the economic development and social development in New York City. Our borough president created this task force to help educate and advise on the many challenges facing African immigrant communities here in New York City. So I am here, and part of the reason why she created this task force is also for us to advocate and also dialogue with her, you know, by creating clear communications and in dealing with many challenges such as housing, access to resources available to us in New York City, and also other issues such as immigration and many barriers such as cultural and language. Sister Borough President, Gabriel.
Thank you very much. It's all of you who make this possible. Thank you so much. I just want to say a couple of things, and I'm not going to speak much because the panel and you are much more informed, but I want to say it just came from the Health and Hospitals Corporation, where they gave a briefing to the 5 borough presidents. And it's just as Kofi indicated, so many myths, and the media has been ridiculous. So it's either blood, vomit, diarrhea, no sweat, no other way can you get any kind of Ebola. So all those myths, put them away. And you call 911 if you have a fever and you came from one of the 3 countries, otherwise forget it. Stop talking about it. We should worry about discrimination, we should worry about bullying, we should worry about communication, and we should worry about healthcare workers going to Africa and the ones who are here. And let me give you an example. One of the wonderful doctors at the Health and Hospital Corporation told us today that one of the workers at Bellevue took her child to a child care center where she has been for a year, and the child care center said, "We heard you work at Bellevue, your child's not welcome here." Another worker works part-time at Dunkin' Donuts, and Dunkin' Donuts said to her, "You work at Bellevue, you're fired at Dunkin' Donuts." These are the kinds of issues that I want to stop with your assistance. That kind of discrimination has no place in our city, and we will do everything we can to fight it. So one of the reasons tonight is to get the facts, get educated, and be ambassadors for the facts, and not for this craziness that some people want to perpetuate. Along those lines, I want to thank some of the elected officials who are here who have been working tirelessly, not just on this, but on other issues. And I saw Assembly Member Keith Wright, who was here. He's still here. Thank you very much. Also, Assembly Member Denny Farrell, Senator Perkins, Council Member Mark Levine, and I think those are all great people. And I think also there are representatives from Senator Espriat, Senator Serrano, and I think Robert Jackson, former council member, also is here, and I thank them all for all of their years of service. I also want to say, picking up, and I don't want to spend much time, but I want to thank all the agencies who made this possible, and this amazing African Immigrant Task Force members. You heard from Kofi. Joyce Adamic is an amazing cultural leader, as we know. Alfred Jamaru, we heard just a few minutes ago from Nkachi Ogabo. We got Rashid Nguyen. We've got Bernadette Nation. We have, I'm going to mess this up, Isui Odrago. We have Sadin Kasibu, Papa Drum, Aquino Agnes Kojo, and her boss, Amama Kuso, Aseo So, Bakari Tandi, Manuel Castro, and then my very favorite person, Commanding Officer Obi. She's one of the first African women to command a precinct in the city of New York. She is phenomenal. Clarice Mofoso, Paul Segun Carey, Famud Kojek, Nick Penn Usawi, Arroyo Amani, Barry Jameson, Ron Petaway, Abu Bakar Diab, Mahmoud Duquesne, Bakari Sewundo, Chico Inose, and Fede Mansarari. And then I want to thank our staff very quickly, Alison Diop, who many of you know, we spent a great deal of time on this issue, and Tori Ricaldi, who does special events. So the staff, as well as the amazing Athena Moore, have been here day after day. There are just so many people who make this possible, and of course everybody here who's at City College, Karen Witherspoon and Anthony Chili, and you heard earlier from the provost. All the major folks who made this part of today. So without further ado, I am going to ask a friend of mine, Rich Robbins, to quickly, in about 5 or 10 minutes, not even that, just talk about some of the technology that he has presented to me. As you know, I chair the technology committee in the City Council, and I have a lot of respect for folks who are putting things on a map and trying to give us education. So Rich Robbins, it's all yours for a few minutes.
Thank you very much. I'm really both honored and humbled to have been asked by Borough President Brewer to be here. 2 things that Borough President Brewer and Kofi Batang said. What Borough President Brewer said, I'm not an expert. I'm really humbled to share. then broke into 5 groups. As you can see, one is just gathering data. There's a lot of data out there, not nearly as much as is needed, but data sets that are somewhere out there need to be gathered and put together so that healthcare workers can find the data and use it. So we built a website called eboladata.org, just as a way of collecting and publishing data sets that exist already, as well as if anyone else creates new data sets, they can publish them on this website. Second was mobile engagement. And having come from the mobile business, we know that mobile penetration is very strong, and it's a great way of both communicating messages to people in West Africa, as well as gathering data from them. And so we talked about different ways we could help, and we spoke with some experts who have a lot of experience in crowdsourcing information, notably from election monitoring, where folks who have worked for the State Department have gone to different countries and gotten people to report using mobile phones just what's happening in elections. And it's a real analog of what can be done with Ebola, of getting people to report anything about what's happening where there might not be medical professionals there, either calling for help and saying we need help here, or just providing information about there is an outbreak here. There are also automated ways that we talked about where you could look at, if you see a lot of mobile phones even in one area, it could be an early indicator that there's an outbreak of Ebola in a village where there otherwise might not be ways of knowing it. The third group worked on mapping, where in areas where there might not be good maps, if healthcare workers are going out, the community is using satellite images and creating maps from tracing roads that you can see in satellite images, just to improve the quality of maps in the area. Fourth is contact tracing. If people do unfortunately contract the virus, looking at ways that you can try to determine who they might have come into contact with so that you know how to try to control the spread of the virus. And lastly is visualization, looking at any of the data sets that we have or mapping to find insights and clues about the data. And here, just really quickly, this is the eboladata.org that we set up. Set up general rules for data publishing as well as standards so that all the data is machine readable so that people can easily get the data and use it for mapping or use it for whatever needs they have. Mobile engagement I talked about. There are a number of tools out there already that are very effective for mobile engagement. Examples of mapping and tracing, and data visualization so you can get a better sense of where there have been outbreaks. A key thing here is we've got a number of folks together just for a day, and we all know that no matter how well-intentioned people are, no matter how much you're able to get done in a day, it's really just building a foundation. IBM has been very generous. They've dedicated a number of resources to people who are looking to sustain this on an ongoing basis. We need to make sure we keep our community engaged and that people continue to contribute. We need to continue to find data sets and make sure that we're putting them onto the site and publishing them. And the other thing is we need to make sure that we're not working in a vacuum. And this is where it's critical for us to be partnering with the real experts and making sure that anything that our community is doing is providing real values for the experts and not just working. Obviously, it's good to make people feel like they're helping, but if we're not really having an impact, then it doesn't really, there's no real point to it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich Robbins, and I think we all need to focus on data. That gets rid of some of these crazy myths, so thank you very much. Kati, all yours.
I would like now to invite our moderator, Barbara Wallace. Dr. Barbara Wallace is a psychologist, is a tenured professor of health and education, and coordinator of the program in health education and community health education within the Department of Health and Behavioral Studies. And Israel Rosario, Christina Farrell, Rudolph Payat, Dr. Rajesh Verma, The panel will run for about an hour, and following that will be Q&A. Thank you.
You just have to switch. Switch there. Mr. Payat, you're here. On your left, yeah.
And we're going to basically have two parts to our panel. First, we're going to really talk about the frontline issues involving fear, fact, fiction, and trying to get to indeed understand the truth, the facts. And so after that, we're going to then focus on the city's response, what's been happening, and what will happen. So we're pleased to start with Sophie Delani, who's Executive Director in the United States of Doctors Without Borders.
Thank you very much, Barbara. It's an honor to be here with you tonight, and you have no idea how refreshing it was and reassuring to hear the few statements that I heard already, and the wisdom and the humanity of these statements after the hysteria that we've experienced in the past few days. Doctors Without Borders has been engaged in this fight against Ebola since the month of March 2014. As you all know, it has already claimed 5,000 lives. It's the largest ever outbreak that we've experienced. Our organizations has responded to Ebola outbreaks for the past 20 years, but it's definitely the most unprecedented one. Now it is affecting 4 countries, mostly Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, but as you know, there is also 1 case in Mali who died recently. And as we speak, we're also responding to another Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is unrelated with the current outbreak. It's more similar to the previous localized small-scale outbreaks that we've experienced. And in Congo, we have not reported new cases since early October, and we're actually preparing our exit strategy from this location. As I said, since the month of March, our teams have mobilized to respond to this outbreak in the 3 most affected countries. We have 3,300 staff working around the clock in the response. The vast majority of these staff are nationals from the countries, and 10% consist in international experts who are coming in support to the operations. We also had teams in neighboring countries, in Senegal and Nigeria, which provided some technical assistance to the Ministry of Health. But as you know now, Senegal and Nigeria have been declared free of Ebola. In Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia, we have admitted over 5,000 people, and over 3,000 of them have been confirmed with Ebola. So the activity that we've conducted so far consists, of course, in Ebola treatment center. We should not actually call them treatment center because, as you know, unfortunately, there is no effective treatment for Ebola, but we have provided care there. We've also conducted a lot of training for our national colleagues, but also for organizations who gradually started to get involved in the response. We're doing a lot of community outreach, distribution of disinfection kits, safe burial education, contact tracing, surveillance, all the package that is necessary to combat this disease. So what is the situation now as we speak? Ebola is spiking again in Guinea, so we continue to scale up the response there. It still prevails in every district of Sierra Leone, and at least I have one semi-good news, which is that we are observing downward trends in Monrovia after many, many weeks and months of escalation of the cases. We're still very vigilant because we all know that what we've learned from this specific outbreak is that cases can decrease in one area but then spike again in another slot. So it's no time to stop the fight, but it's worth sharing, reassuring news, especially for our teams and the Liberian population, the population in Monrovia. Of course, it is an amazing information, and also it frees some resources to do more outreach, contact tracing, and surveillance. We wonder if this decrease in cases in Monrovia is not the sign of a lack of access to healthcare, the fact that it's very difficult to get an ambulance, the fact that because of the stigmatization that you were referring to, taxis no longer want to take sick people. So we definitely need to use our extra resources to investigate further and make sure that we get as close to the community as possible and get a better idea of this situation. So to finish, I'd like to share with you what we see as the key challenges today. It's clear that this outbreak remains totally unpredictable, and we have to be vigilant. We need to continue to increase the response and put all our energy there, where the real suffering is. The response to the Ebola is still too slow. There have been huge commitments, significant commitments in the month of September on the part of the international community to step up the response, to mobilize resources and aid workers on the ground. But it takes time to materialize and to translate into effective action, and it's still too slow at the moment. And more importantly, the expected response should not only be just about building Ebola treatment center. It has to be about also scaling up a number of activities like community outreach, like the management of dead bodies, safe burials, surveillance, contact tracing, and also mobilizing caretakers for the increasing number of orphans who end up in the streets of Monrovia and other cities, having left their parents. Another challenge that we face is we absolutely need to fast-track the clinical trials. There is no rapid test for Ebola, there is no treatment, there is no effective vaccine yet, and it is a symptom of an R&D system that is very dysfunctional and that is not investing for disease and countries that are not seen viable. So we definitely need to change this course of action and advocate fiercely for rapid clinical trials so that we can fight this disease. Ebola, even though we managed to contain this Ebola outbreak, it will remain prevalent in the region, and the only way to protect the population of this region is to find an effective vaccine. So our organization is actively involved in trying to speed up this effort. And last but not least, I'd like to say that certainly the most critical challenge that we're facing is the management of fear, replacing the management of Ebola and the stigma. I called Monrovia this morning to talk to the team, and they were telling me that they're facing a huge stigma already. Their family are facing stigma and discrimination. Some of them also have received requests from their family not to come back home within the 21-day period. So it's certainly our worst enemy when fighting infectious disease. This is why the community sensitization is so key, and this is why this event tonight, I hope, is going to be eye-opening and is going to mitigate the fear that people have, and which is unfounded based on the medical science that we know and that we have repeated tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. Okay, so next, Stone, who is the Senior Public